Welcome back to the Turf District for episode 111 of the Eskimo Empire podcast. Check out these fancy digs. Ooh, now look up. Look way up. Hey, how are you doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Turf District. We have a fun show this evening, and first we've got all these nice fancy new shirts. We got the Eskimo logo there. We got some CFPN logo going on over there. It's like we almost look professional or something like that, but let's not get carried away. I mean, it is still me. Come on now. All right, we're going to have some fun this evening. We have got tons to talk about. Before we get started, let's do a quick reminder to make sure that you jump over to eskempire.ca, find all of the blogs, find all of the podcasts, find, of course, everything else that you might want to find as far as Eskimo Empire podcast is concerned, and join in on the conversation over there so you can get some more Empire points. So let's get to right who's in the room, starting with my, of course, immediate left. It is the one and only Superfan Mike. Nice. I like the little point there. That's good. Yeah, exactly. Did you bring the other little item downstairs that you? Where did that? It's around somewhere. Okay, well we'll find that before we're gone. How's things going, man?
Good. A bunch of wins.
Yes.
And a big loss, so that is still in the mix.
Yes.
For the home playoff date.
Yes, we're going to actually have to talk about playoff
lots
scenarios,
of lots of options.
Oh my goodness, there's tons.
Math is hard.
What? Yeah,
it's true.
Just because we live in Alberta.
Well,
Okay. PD just said don't talk about his little item. All right, let's leave that right there. Oh my goodness. It's a nice shirt you got there, Superfan. That's a lovely shirt. Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Let's see who else is here, shall we? Joining us back for the podcast again, it is Doug. How are you doing?
Very well, Andrew. How are you?
Very good, very good. I think this is the first time we've had you on the podcast where you're wearing green, so thank you for doing that.
Well, it's almost to the point now where I have to kind of play up this whole tradition. Like I said,
point of pride,
superstition. Because like I said to you when I walked in, there's no shortage of green and gold stuff at home. But
yes,
it's I figure wearing helmets around is probably not the best thing. So.
We've got a few.
Yeah, there's a couple around. Yeah, we could probably help you out if you ever needed some.
I left my Shalon Baker jersey at home. So
okay.
Nice.
Ooh, wow. Not too many people have one of those.
No. For good reason.
Yeah. What was the one that we saw? Jamaica Rector. That was one we saw.
I had a TGA Cree one. There's another beauty.
Nice.
So
M&M boy.
When I pick them well.
So. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got the beauties. The guys that are around for years.
Some Brian Allen. They're fun.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. And let the history wars begin.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see who else is here as well. It is the one and only web mistress, Kayla. How are you?
I think I'm going to need that helmet. I have a feeling this is not going to end well.
No, you can turn it. It's okay. See? There, now it'll be out of your way.
But
that's
now
perfect.
this is...
That's fine. Hey, nice shirt as well. Look, you're part of the team.
Finally,
fantastic.
I'm matched.
Yeah, yeah, we always wanted to be matchies. Matchies. Kayla, let's start quickly with you. It's win at home. What was your first take on the game?
Oh, man. I don't want to say too much because I have to leave it to the podcast, but the one thing that I can define this specific game, it started last game, but I was still a little bit, maybe we're getting there. Team. This was a team. These guys showed up together, and I don't want to sound too corny, but they were united. It wasn't just offense, defense, special teams. They were playing together, and the one thing that really just made my heart sing was when Willis jumped on to the Adarius Bowman touchdown to help celebrate. I was like, we're back. We are back. That is why we're back.
Would you even say they're one empire? Oh, now that would have been the corny one, but I had to wait.
I did that corn already in my last blog.
So. Fair enough. That's true. What's the latest blog called again?
Did Stella get her groove back?
All right. Excellent. Yeah, make sure you check that out at
eskempire.ca.
Wonderful. Well done. Okay, let's go back to Doug now. Doug, I got to tell you, Fake Gainer just said he didn't have his glasses on. He asked if Tom Higgins was in the room. Anyway,
just never gets old, I'm sure.
I gotta ask. We had a conversation before, just as we were booking on things, about how this team is so streaky.
Yeah.
And just we haven't had a chance to catch up with you during the season. We talked to you preseason. Actually, BD just asked me to remind you about your Sean White prediction. Actually, at the beginning of the year, where you said he was doing all three. That's a good way. I'm afraid he might get hurt. Anyway, so yeah, it's totally your fault. Anyway, but give us your kind of rundown of the season, because it has been so streaky.
Well, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in a bit. As you and I were sort of texting back and forth, I've never seen a season like this where they have been so. I mean, we use the phrase consistently inconsistent. I think I stole that from you, but yeah, it's just been so odd. And I know I got ripped earlier in the season when I said I think this is a fairly average team. I didn't mean that as a critique. I just meant that there are some moments where they look really good and some moments where they look really awful. When you combine them together, they're pretty average.
Right.
And right now we're in one of those upswings, and they're playing better. And hopefully we've got enough runway to see that through.
8 in a row. That's all we ask.
Well, that's all we ask. And I mean, it's not impossible. We've seen it happen many times before.
That's
so
true.
It's just been so odd because even in the losing streak, I didn't think they were awful. But they were sure finding ways to lose games, just like they were finding ways to win games in the first 7.
Not as good as they were when they first started winning, and not as bad when they lose.
So they're just, I think they've been pretty average.
Yeah.
But right now, again, they're on an uptick, and again, like Mike said, hopefully they can carry that for another few weeks.
Well, and the point is, average is fine now as long as you're above average.
Well, that's
as
right.
you hit the playoffs,
Exactly.
right? And if you're on that swing,
Totally.
that's what we're looking for.
Right.
Yep.
I do want to go around the table with this one, but Mike, I want to ask you first. The first 7 games.
Yes.
People were reminding they did 10 in a row in 2015, and that's very true.
Sure did.
Same thing.
First 7 games,
82.
tons and tons of talk about Reilly being the MOP.
Right.
Next 6 games, of course, that conversation dies down. Now we're back on a winning streak. It's fairly obvious to us, I would think, that Reilly is the MOP for the Eskimos.
Agreed.
Do you think that he should be in the conversation for MOP of the league, especially if we find a way to win this game on Saturday?
Oh, I think that's definitely the thing. As Reilly goes, so goes the Eskimos.
Yeah.
He's definitely the most valuable player on the
by
team.
miles, yes.
Most outstanding. I mean, who else would you say? The way that he's been playing the last little bit, I don't know if you can say Bo Levi Mitchell. Yeah. I don't really think you can say really any of the quarterbacks, certainly in the West. In the East, I mean, who have you got? So I don't know if there's someone that's really a head and shoulders standout who's better than Reilly at this point. So I don't think it's Reilly's best year. 2015 certainly comes to mind there. But I do think he's probably one of the best here. Some people might say Singleton might get a lot of votes for MLP.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Second defensive player to get that award if that happens. But again, I don't think I can name many other people that would give him much competition.
Well, and I would think coming out of the East, you'd probably look at Trevor Harris. You'd probably look at Ricky Ray, the way his season
Harris has
gone,
had some up and down too, right?
Yeah, and they all have. But I wonder...
Andrew Harris might get some nods.
Andrew, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, Doug, your thoughts on MOP race for this year?
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to echo what Mike said. I think that Reilly has been, I think, overall very good. I think there's some interesting things in his game right now that I was impressed on Saturday, the fact that he started to use his feet a little bit more.
Yes, and sometimes one on purpose, like a legitimate quarterback sneak, which is great.
And I personally think he's a better quarterback when he does that, because I think as a pocket passer, he has a bad tendency. He's improved this, but he does have a bad tendency to get locked in. I think he makes some throws that are. I mean, we've seen that to Duke Williams how many times this year? Where he just throws it up in hopes that Williams is going to open, pull it down.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I think when he uses his feet, it just seems to settle his whole game down a little bit.
Right.
So whether we see more of that through the playoffs, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think in a year where I don't think there have been too many players that just you have no doubt that they're going to be MOP candidates, and that's not a critique of him. I think he's deserving of it. But I don't think it's been one of those years where someone is just a clear runaway winner. I think, as we talked about with the other quarterbacks, I think it's guys middling a little bit. I mean, heck, you could start looking at the Andrew Harris's, like you said, Brandon Zylstra for hex. I mean,
exactly.
how well he's played. I mean, he's going to put up close to 1,700 yards. So.
But unassuming and possibly breaking that Brian Kelly record too, right? So
Wow, that would be.
And that's pretty heady, comfy to be in.
Just a touch, yeah. Doug will tell you.
player.
Yeah,
I was
gonna say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, exactly. Kayla, your thoughts? MOP across the league. Do you agree with these guys? Do you have other ideas?
No, I 100% agree, and not on the basis of that he's just a quarterback. He's more than a quarterback on this team, on this squad. There have been plays where he will go and tackle, he will go and block, he will see from his peripherals someone coming after one of his running backs or whatever, and he will block. He does more than just throw the ball. He will run the ball. He will score touchdowns. He will defend his players. He will get hit time and time again and still get up and lead this team. So,
I could do with less of that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Yeah.
it's called getting a better O-line.
Yeah.
And it's the clock in your head too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He does hang on a few times.
He hangs
Yes.
on way
Clock's a
too
little
long.
off kilter right now.
And there definitely are flaws, that's for sure. And this hasn't been his strongest year, but the fact that he still keeps going and doesn't quit is not in his vocabulary, and you can see it on the field. And I've criticized him, but never will this team be the same without him anyway.
No, it's his team.
So, with that being said, yes, because you have to look outside of just what he does as a quarterback. What does he do for this team? What does he do for his team members, for the coaches? How does he lead? And I think that kind of puts him above and beyond other quarterbacks, where I would never ever say anything like against Ricky Ray, because he's fabulous. He would deserve it as well. But I think when you're looking at a full-rounded character, a full-rounded player, a full-rounded team lead, he's got to be your guy.
All right. Okay. Can't
Sounds
argue with any of that.
outstanding to me.
Yeah. Sounds outstanding.
done.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the vote. Yeah.
There you go.
Kayla's the
Stand.
only voter. Done. Yeah, exactly. Doug, we talked a bit about this last week. The Maas outbursts, blow-ups, meltdowns, whatever you want to call them.
Tantrum.
Give me your opinion, because I know you're sitting on the other side. You see stuff coming across the field, but you've been a fan for such a long time. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'll say this first. I'm a huge Jason Maas fan as
I
a coach, and certainly when he was a player.
Yes.
But I think it's a huge problem. And the reason I think it's a big problem is that I think it sets... There's a balance that he has to still find of being intense, being fiery, but he cannot... To me, that sends a message to your team that discipline in all forms is a little bit less important.
Right.
I heard this argument back when it was that the Labor Day rematch when Chris Edwards got the throat slash penalty, and that was... And some radio pundits were trying to make it, well, just because Maas gets the penalty for freaking on the sideline doesn't push Chris Edwards to do what he did. But I don't know that I agree with that, because if we think back to the Chris Jones era, there is no chance that Chris Edwards would have ever done that.
No.
There was a message sent, however, through that room that is stuff that just we are not tolerating here.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that Maas is overtly saying, that's okay, Chris, go nuts.
No. Yeah, he
But
definitely
I think
isn't.
his behavior lends to that happening. I do believe that the players would run through walls for him. I think they really like him. I don't
Totally
think that's
agree.
an issue.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's something about it that I think sends messages very subtle that some of that discipline isn't as crucial as maybe we as fans might believe that it is.
Now, this last game, I didn't hear of any of them in this particular game.
Nope.
Didn't hear of
Not
any.
that I saw or heard either.
And so I think there was obviously the big pushback because of the undressing of McDermott last week. Now, I want to give what. Did I say that wrong?
The undressing?
Well,
Dressing down?
dressing down, whatever. He got yelled at. Okay, that's how it works.
Lack of dress.
Lack
anyway.
of dress.
Lack
He's like Kayla.
low
No
pants.
pants. No, I gotta. I guess the thing is, I do want to encourage actually everyone to go to eskempire.ca. Go to the pod blog from last week with Sean. And Coach Vic had a really great rundown from a coach's perspective, being that he's a coach. And I understand that fire, and I think, like you said, I think there just needs just a little bit of tweak for the balance. Because I don't mind if he gets upset, because he's an emotional and fiery guy, and that's what made him as good as he was. And like you said, I think guys will run through walls for him, but... is it just me, or that just has just a little temper on it?
Yeah.
That's
He
it.
could focus that energy in a different way, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's entirely, yeah. I
It's
could
just
go
the
for
kind
that
of thing that he's always been intense. We saw him yelling at his offensive linemen or receivers when he was a player.
Yeah.
Up until when he was a receivers coach, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. This is nothing new.
Yes.
It's just that now that you're the head guy, you have to take into account that you're the boss.
Yeah.
So everybody looks to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe you have to try to dial it down 1,000,000%.
Just a smidge. Okay.
And just to build on that, because I think that's bang on. And I think the other thing too is that when we've seen this, pick a sport.
Yes.
Coaches that are like this have a short shelf life.
Exactly.
They may run through walls for them for a period of time,
Right.
and then it wears very, very thin.
You tune them out.
Right.
And I'll never forget. I mean, this is a bit unrelated, but having coached high school basketball a lot in the last many years, I'll never forget one of my kids coming up to me. This is a bunch of years ago. We were playing against Ross Shep, I think, and their coach was just losing his mind nonstop all game long.
Okay.
And one of my kids comes over. He says, Coach, I am so glad that you're not like that. Because I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm so glad because I could not play for a guy like that. Now, that's one very minute example, but I think there are lots of players that stuff just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, too, as a coach, is when you need to pull that out,
Right.
you can pull it out and it sends a huge message.
Where do you go from there,
That's
right?
right. And that's the other thing, too.
This one goes to 11.
This one, yeah. Is that a Back to the Future reference?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought
This is Spinal Tap.
fine. I like to just throw these things out.
I gotta
there.
leave.
All right. Okay. So last thing, because we've slowly been kind of going through all the awards on the team. So Kayla, let's start with you this time. Offensive lineman for the Eskimos. Who do you nominate as outstanding offensive lineman?
Offensive lineman.
Yep.
Next.
I don't think it's that bad. Come on, there has been at least a couple that have been good. Who do you go with?
I don't know.
They have to nominate somebody. So
David Beard.
all right,
You got
sure.
7 or 8 people to pick from, right?
There you go. Yeah, fair enough.
I
Doug?
don't mean to sound so hard.
That's
but
okay.
I like the David Beard one, a good U of A guy. But
Yes.
I'll go with Justin Sorensen.
Okay, Mike.
Especially after the last couple of weeks, I'm going to go with Joel Figueroa.
Ooh, yeah, because we
Definitely miss him,
Yeah.
for sure.
absolutely.
Yep.
And
And he hasn't won yet, right? So Sorensen won last year. So
I guess that's true. Yeah. I am going. I'm going with Matt O'Donnell
Yeah.
this
Another
year.
good choice,
I think
too.
he's held up that side very, very well,
And
he's
moved over
played
to left
basically
tackle, yeah.
every game. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Giants.
Yeah. What
Sorry.
did you just
Yeah.
Nothing. I didn't say that. I said he's played every game. Period. Come on, stop putting it on me. I didn't say White was going to get hurt. That was Doug. Okay, no.
Here's the bus.
Woo!
That's
Okay.
awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Doug, for being here. And Kayla, as always, thank you. This is going to be a really fun show, as you can already tell. And we're looking forward to doing some more. There. Better with the show this week. The show is going to be out on Thursday this week, only because our editing night is getting bumped by a whole bunch of small creatures visiting our house, and having to go walk about with small creatures and get some free chocolate. It's the best part. Hey, this one is not good for you. Give me all your Kit Kats. All right, we're gonna have lots this week. We're gonna obviously talk more about this Esks win. We're gonna be talking. Oh, nice. Uncle BD said the Riders are visiting. That's well played. Well played. We're going to talk about our pick'ems. We're going to talk about all the scores from last week, and we're also going to be joined by Janine to talk about a Grey Cup update as far as all the parties and all those types of things. And as always, we love chatting with her, so I'm sure you guys will enjoy that. So show will be out on Thursday. Join us, eskempire.ca, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. Join in the conversation. Thanks for listening, and we will absolutely talk to you later this week. I want to work properly. There we are.